Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we are taking a look at the Tier 8 Baltimore, a American Heavy Cruiser. This is a a line that I haven't really gotten into yet, but I've made it to the Baltimore, and man, I've really enjoyed the playthrough of these cruisers so far. And Baltimore really is where this ship line sort of really kind of comes into their own. So, see the game we got here today for you. We're in a Tier 7 to Tier 9 game. Which is pretty common matchmaking nowadays at Tier 8. The Tier 10s kind of stay to their own, so you get a lot of games where you get a little more of a fun experience when you get to play with ships around this tier versus having to fight the Tier 10s and the carriers and all that. We're on the map too, brothers, and we're going to be heading off to the decap to the left here. And Baltimore. So what about this ship? What makes this ship special? Well, it's an American heavy cruiser, so of course you have those very good heavy American guns that have a great mix of HE and AP, depending on what situation you're in. You're still going to shoot HE most of the time, but as you'll see later on in this video, the AP damage can be quite devastating if used properly, and you can get a lot of damage out of it. Another thing the Baltimore is going for that maybe some other cruisers don't have, one is its armor. It has 27 millimeter armor, bow and stern, which means that the ship can only be overmatched by guns 381 millimeters or larger. Now, when you play in a tier 10 game, that's going to be pretty much every battleship you fight. But if you get to play in these tiers, or you're mixing 7s, 8s, 9s, or even 6s that the Baltimore can face, a lot of battleships have a tough time overmatching your nose or bow or stern, so you get a lot of opportunity to bounce shells. Another thing Baltimore has that really goes for it is its stealth. It has a 9.9 kilometer detection range, which is pretty good for a cruiser, especially a heavy cruiser. The other thing we have going for the ship, though, that kind of compounds off that stealth is the radar, which is 10 kilometers. So you combine a 10-kilometer radar with a 9.9-kilometer stealth. That means Baltimore is one of the few ships, besides really the Russian cruisers, that can stealth radar. Meaning, as soon as you're detected, you can radar, and whatever's spotting you, you'll spot back. So what we'll be doing in this, we're going to the decap, and I'm trying to hurry up and get to this island. The reason being is I want to use this island for cover so I can push up to radar the enemy destroyer. I see there's a destroyer in here. D is being capped. So I know the enemy destroyer is in here. It's the only thing that could be in here this early in the game. So I can use this island to push up and cover to get close enough to radar. You see the little dotted lines on my mini map at the bottom of my screen. That is my detection range, but it really is also my radar range in the ship for all intents and purposes. So you can tell I have my radar in the cap. Now I'm using the island to just sheet a couple shells out real quick because I know I'm pretty much covered. And at first I thought about turning to the right, but then I see the Baltimore and Fiji, some other ships to the left, so I kind of made a decision. Now, the enemy destroyer there, the Akatsuki, has appeared. But right now he's detected, so I don't really need to radar him yet. Now he disappears, so I'm going to wait just a second or two to make sure my guns are on target. I'm going to go ahead and radar this guy, because I figured he probably had smoked up. I see the smoke in the corner of the screen. He smokes. I radar him. So now all the enemy ships, or friendly ships behind me, can shoot him, and now I am going to use this island also to turn away and come out angled and also put my guns on him. I don't get to shoot full salvos every time because I've wasted the first like 10-15 seconds. I didn't waste it, but I used it to let my enemy or my friendly team start shooting him. But then I'm going to get my own 2 shots, and I don't believe we actually kill this guy, but we get him really low, and the trade value we got is immense. I mean, we got this guy down to 2,000 health. He's a tier 7 destroyer. He can't heal. So that was a huge trade. My Yugamo didn't take any damage, and the enemy destroyer takes significant amount of damage. So far so good. We used that island earlier. We got our radar off. We're going to switch to AP and try to hit the Baltimore. We are playing with the Alexander Ovechkin captain, which has the improved expert loader. We didn't get any citadels in that hit, but we did get 5 hits for about 3,800 damage, and we're going to see if we can follow it up with a better shot. And we do get 2 citadels, 11,000 damage. That's just a taste of what the American AP can do. American cruisers, especially I think the heavy cruisers for sure, have improved penetration angles on their armor-piercing shells, meaning that a ship doesn't have to be dead broadside for you to get full pins. They can be at more of an angle than maybe you would get away with other ships. For example, that shot I just shot where I got the 2 citadels in a different cruiser, those could have bounced. I don't know the exact angle and if that was a situation, but it was a situation where those shells could have bounced, whereas Baltimore, I'm getting full pins. So it's a pretty nice thing, and it's something you should definitely use. If you're playing the ship line, try to get better at knowing when to switch to armor piercing versus high explosive. Now, if you're not sure, high explosive is always your safer bet. There's never a reason that you're never going to shoot a high explosive shot and go, "Ah, crap, why'd I do that?" But understanding when ships are giving you enough of an angle or a profile to make AP work is really good. The rule of thumb I use is cruisers, I'm watching very carefully to the profile they present me. If they're giving me any sort of broadside or any kind of openness, then I'm going to try to get them with AP because I'm going to try to get some citadels on them. You have very high penetration on these shells, and it carries at pretty good ways. So even if they're not all that close, you may still be able to make it work. Battleships, if they're not on fire, my first goal is to try to get a fire on them. Fire damage is really strong in this game. It's one of the biggest equalizers, you could say. A lot of people argue it's too much. I would probably agree as a battleship main, but hey, it is what it is right now. But as a cruiser player, you want to be making those fires work. So your first and foremost thing is to try to get them on fire. After that, if they're on fire already, you can think about using AP. Now we're shooting the sign up here, but we're going to go ahead and move back because my middle cap is being capped. Something for a little in-game map awareness thing here. We're going to be shooting these guys as we move over, and I'm being a little risky here, but that Bismarck looks distracted. His guns aren't focused on me, so I'm shooting while I'm broadside, but this is something that I'm doing, but I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. So if you're watching me shoot right those last two shots and going, what's this guy broadside for? I'm watching the Bismarck's guns and I'm watching what he's doing. Anyway, as far as Two Brothers goes, notice how our team has won the decap pretty handily. The few ships they have left, the Synop, Bismarck, they are kind of retreating. Their destroyer just died. That was on this flank that we lit up earlier. So this enemy team is going to probably lose this flank. Now, typically what happens on this map, since we won the D flank, they won the A flank. And what happens a lot of times is then it becomes a chase. The faster ships, and we give broadside, by the way, and we get blapped by the sign up. I was being greedy. I should have angled away immediately. We got lucky the Bismarck didn't blap us there, too. So, Baltimore is not a ship you want to give broadside in, just as a side note. But kind of back to what we were talking about, this map typically devolves into a situation where one side keeps trying to push, and so like the D flank is you're gonna see our battleships. They're gonna push in through D and chase around to C, whereas they should pretty much hold this flank until they win it or they completely force the red ships out, and then you should kind of come back if the other side isn't looking so good. So that's what we're going to kind of do in this situation. I know that the A flank is going to get ran over, so I want to defend. To me, I would rather be defending a cap than trying to chase enemy ships down. It's easier to kite away and shoot while you're running away than it is, in my opinion, to try to run after a ship that's running from you. But in the meantime, we're farming damage. This is something you're going to do in a cruiser. You're going to stay angled. You're going to keep moving, shifting your rudder. You're going to be a hard target to hit. And you're just going to farm fires. And that's what I've been doing the last few minutes while we were talking about the map. Just farming fires. I'm just a simple farmer tending to my fires. That's all I'm doing. Sign-ups at low health. We maybe could have slowed down and cheated one more shot on him, but overall, he's probably going to get behind that island before we get any more damage. Baltimore doesn't have the greatest HE output in the world as far as your raw damage per minute goes. Your guns do reload at a pretty slow clip. You're talking like 15, 16 seconds. I'm taking a blind fire there because that sign-up was really close to that island. I don't really expect to hit him, but it doesn't hurt to try. But with your long reload, this thing isn't going to be a king of DPM. It's not going to be like a Bayard or a Mogami with IFHE or something. It's not going to be a ship that you're going to win any all-time HE damage competitions. But your threat of your armor-piercing shells outweighs that sort of deficiency. We're shooting the Venom because he's a destroyer. He's detected, and you should shoot him. As a cruiser, even if you don't think you're going to hit him, you should probably still shoot him. We've slowed down a little bit. The Benham keeps appearing and disappearing, and I've got a couple battleships pushing in. Now I have an island right now that's covering me. The Benham turned to his left, so the islands in front of me are covering me from being detected. This is something else you can do in a cruiser to get better and get more damage is you work in these free damage salvos where you get to shoot 2 or 3 times using island cover and you're not detected. That's the best thing you can do as a cruiser. Shoot without being seen. It's your ultimate bread and butter. It's your ultimate money maker. And even if you're in a ship like Baltimore, you really can't abuse islands like some other ships can, like the light, like say Cleveland, her sister at tier 8 with the lighter shells that arc way up in the air. You can still use them to your advantage when you get the opportunity. So that's just something else we're doing here. But these guys are pushing in, and notice what I'm doing. I'm kiting away. My guns are angled away. I'm kiting away. Now Baltimore isn't optimal for this because the rear end of the ship is kind of flat and it does tend to take hits, but as a principal rule of thumb, kiting away to me is better than trying to run after them, like you said before. So right now I'm trying to hold off this push. This is a pretty hardcore, full-on, sweaty push into Bravo, and I don't want to charge them. I don't want to run in there. I want to stay at a good, healthy distance. Now, 12K from these battleships is not where I want to be. I would like to be a little further away, but this is about the range you want to play Baltimore at. This is about as close as you want to get in a Baltimore to enemy battleships, especially scary stuff like Jean Bart. Now, as we mentioned before with the armor profiles, one thing I have going for me right now is my armor is 27 millimeters, which means that Jean Bart and Scharnhorst, they can't overmatch me. So I don't have a threat of taking huge, massive hits as long as I stay angled like I just did. Notice how we angled away from him and we didn't take damage. Now, my front guns, they didn't get to shoot for about 10 seconds. Now I'm going to rock this shit back. We're going to fire the front guns, and then we're going to fire the back gun. And if I think I'm about to be hit again, if my priority target, my detected right there, goes to 1 or 2, I'm going to turn about away again. Because right now, I'm trying to kite, I'm trying to delay. I slowed down right here because I wanted to use this Goriza's smoke. He's an Italian cruiser. His smoke is going to follow him where he goes. It's a really weird, novel, unique smoke. So I can't, it's not going to be this big cloud I can just sit in for 5 minutes and farm like crazy, but I can temporarily, I'm abusing this mechanic right here. I'm temporarily gaining an advantage where I've shot 4 or 5 salvos without being seen. So it's not a huge deal, but it is damage I got to farm without risk of being return fired. Now, the Benham just pushed into B, but I don't have the luxury of turning or stopping to radar him. One, I don't have a lot of support. I have a Wichita almost on the border, and I have the Gariza next to me, but I don't really have time to stop. Now, I notice he comes towards me, so then I can pop my radar because you saw I got detected again. I know those battleships can't see me, but the Benham can. So I pop it, and he's pushing in towards me. So we get away with it. But at that moment, I still was moving away from the cap because I couldn't afford to sit there. There's 3 battleships. So we're going to work in some more damage on this Benham. We're not going to kill him. But again, we're not going to oversell. We're not going to sell out. Okay, we pop my Hydro because Hydro, of course, is going to give us that improved torpedo protection. And the Benham, being a ship that is loaded to the T with torpedoes, we want to make sure we're being careful. Now we give that John Bart a little bit of an angle. He pops his 4700, but again, a lot of those shells bounce, and there's no real threat of being citadel through the bow or stern. So as long as I maintain this profile, I'm going to be a hard ship to get rid of. And that's kind of what I'm counting on. And this is where the U.S. cruisers are really pretty good in this kind of situation. Our Hydro picks up the torpedoes out of the Gariza spotted him, one of the two. Um, so we're just going to make sure we avoid those. We got time. Venom torps aren't the fastest thing in the world, so we have no problem. In the meantime, we're just farming these battleships as they come in. If they don't have a fire, I'm trying to put a fire on them, or if they're low health, I'm just focusing my guns. It's really all we got to do right now. We need to keep these guys on fire and keep them hating life as they're pushing into my cap. Because look what happened. Notice what I said earlier. My team went and pushed down from D. They didn't get there. You notice where they stopped on the mini map. They just kind of got hung up by like 2 ships. Meanwhile, me and a Gariza and a Wichita are trying to fight the entire Earth up here at B. And all I can do right now is delay. We get 2 more fires on the Scharnhorst. That was really good. That Scharnhorst looks like he's not playing fire prevention. If you're playing a battleship in this day and age, unless you're playing a full-on meme secondary build, you should have fire prevention on your ship. Could be a low-tier captain he's training, who knows. But, yeah. We get Confederate, which is a damage award, so that's pretty cool. But we're not done yet here. We're up to 79,000, but like I said, we're not done. And right now I'm just focusing the Scharnhorst. Now, he's presenting me enough of a profile that I could probably use AP. But he's burning, and he doesn't seem to be able to put the fires out, and I know I can get at least 2 more fires on him if I lead my shells correctly, so there's no reason not to just keep farming him until he's dead. We want to focus him, we want to get him out of the fight. Battleships always have a chance that they can pop a heal and heal back up, and if he gets smoked and he heals, all of a sudden he's not dead, you got another problem on your hands. So at this point, I've ran pretty far. Notice where we're at. We're almost to the edge of the map. And this John Bart seems distracted. He was shooting somebody else. He just killed our Mogami. That was his Kraken. And he had torpedoes coming in. So I took a chance to turn back in. Now again, John Bart can't overmatch us. This is a risky play. If I didn't get this turn off and he lands these shells just right, he could devastate me. But I took a chance, took a calculated risk. I know, okay, I can't run much more. I've got to turn around and I've got to man up and I've got to get back in this fight because my team needs me. My team needs help, and I can't run forever. So we're going to take the fight to this guy. He's 23,000 health. He's a tier 9 battleship. But again, angle. No, he missed, but those shells would have bounced. And I loaded up some AP because he's got a pretty good angle. Look at that, 3,800 damage with the AP. It's pretty solid. But we're going to go back to HE because I thought he was going to turn back into me. But he's on fire in 3 places. He's probably burned his damage repair parties. And at this point, I just want this guy out of the fight. We're going to try AP one more time because it looks like he's opening up a little bit. But either thing I shoot, I'm going to get some reliable damage out of. Now here's where the AP really comes in handy. We have an Ibuki giving pretty good broadside. He's trying to get our Wichita out of this fight, and I'm pretty sure he does in a salvo or two. Now that salvo wasn't the greatest shot in the world. I could have shot that salvo better, but I'm going to stick with AP as long as I'm getting this sort of profile. I also am going to pop my hydroacoustic search again. Not only have I not seen Venom in a few minutes, but I also know Ibuki has torpedoes, and they go 10 kilometers. Now this is aggravating because he beaches, but he's like only half beach, so it's like really hard to know where to shoot my shells. I don't know when his ship is going to lurch forward, but it takes us a second here. Don't excuse his technical difficulties. Buki does kill our Wichita. Again, this guy's trying to go forward and back up, but I'm just going to rail this guy with AP. I mean, yeah, I could set him on fire, but like I get 1 or 2 citadels, this guy's going to die. 5,000 damage. And this is going to be a better shot. This is around the water line, and those are the torpedoes I was talking about. I don't know if they're Ibuki torps or they're Venom torps. I don't really care, so I got to dodge these torps. I've got to get in this little hole we got here. So I'm going to use the Baltimore as a great rudder shift and maneuverability. And we're going to sneak in 8,000 damage on a citadel. Can we get this guy out of the fight? Oh, that Ibuki HE hurts. Yep, there he goes. All right, he's out of the fight. Only thing I've got left to worry about is the Venom. So now we got to play this smart. I haven't seen him in a few minutes. I don't know where he is. But this is where Baltimore has that advantage. I know with a 9.9 kilometer detection range, my 10K radar, the instant I'm spotted, I can radar him back. So for now, all I can really do is head off to B. I don't know where torps are coming from. I just got to hope he's not way out on my flank. Either way, the Wichita died to my right, so he probably isn't to my right. He could be in the cap. He could be somewhere else. I get detected. I wait like 2 seconds just to make sure, he's not running away. There's a Venom. 8K away. Turn my guns, turn my ship, and we're going to try to light this guy up and get him out of the fight. Will we succeed? Who knows? But we got to give it a shot. I'm taking healthy leads. US shells are not very fast, but Baltimore's got good accuracy. She makes up for her shell velocity and overall damage with the shells going where you tell them to. So we're getting some nice salvos. He turns away. I aim over his ship. I'm trying to drop those shells. I expect him to continue to make that turn, so I lead him away into the left, and we get just enough hits, and our friendly neighborhood Colorado helps finish him off in our radar's time. And that, boys and girls, is going to be a game secured. 124,000 damage, 4 citadels, 8 fires, and 3 ships sank. We wind up with 2,600 base XP. The next guy was like 1,800. And by no means am I saying this is pour one out for Colorado. But by no means am I saying this was some like god tier game. I mean, 124,000 damage. It's not that impressive from a damage aspect, but it showcases everything the Baltimore does well and things it doesn't do well. You saw earlier in the game, as I was moving from D to B, I was given a little bit of broadside. I was kind of being aggressive. I was kind of being lackadaisical, and I got popped for half my health. But when I gave the ship a chance to actually angle and do its thing and set fires and kite and use its radar, the ship is really strong. All the U.S. Heavy Cruiser line is strong as a whole, but Baltimore is a really strong entry at Tier 8. Some of the things I would augment for this game is if this was a Tier 10 game, I wouldn't have been able to get away with what I got away with up at the B cap. I would have had to have ran further or maybe stopped shooting for periods of time because if there was battleships like Kremlin or Thunderer or some crazy crap like that, I can't angle to that. So they would have just been blapping me for these huge hits. So you kind of have to know your audience. But I knew it was Scharnhorst and Jean Bart's. They're not going to be able to overmatch my armor, so I can kind of plead more aggressive. And when I turn back in to fight that Jean Bart, again, if that was a Yamato or something, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to figure out something else to do. Another thing I would say is my early play for the radar into D at the start of the game. That worked because there was no CV in this game. If there was a CV in this game and I get detected early, I could have 2 or 3 battleships unload on me before I get to that island, and I'm no longer going to surprise the enemy destroyer by being behind the island. So you always have to kind of know what you're working with and kind of play to your game. But in this game, being the middle to high tier, we were able to kind of make it work and go after it. So Overall, this game was good, though. I thought it was a really good game. I thought it showcased everything the ship does well. Just remember, you're gonna shoot HE for the most part, but load AP when you think you got that angle and shoot it. Just if it's random battles, just shoot the AP. If it's bouncing or if something ain't happening, then just think, okay, well, now I know from now on at that angle or that range, hey, maybe HE is better. But this ship is going to reward smart play. It's going to reward angling when you actually pay attention to it, and it's going to reward you switching ammo types and knowing what ammo types work well. So if you're looking for a cruiser line that's really going to make test your skills, but reward you, and it's not just another mindless, brain dead, park behind an island or in a smoke cloud and farm HE ship, hey, you might want to check out the Baltimore. So that's what I got for you today, guys. As always, thanks for watching and have a good one.